Welcome back to LePodcast episode 33. As always, you're here with Hoop, Saney, and the infamous ZZ Huncho. Saney, big day last episode. Our Jeopardy champion. It feels like that this episode should come back down to earth and that we just get into that, ESPN type, just covering news. But I want to keep the excitement up. Right off the bat, I'm going to give you a question that you guys have no idea is coming. Rank these three centers offensively if they were all in their prime. Jokic, Hakeem Olajuwon, and Shaquille O'Neal. Let's start with our champion, Saney.
I love that question, Hoop. And when I look at it, just off first initial thoughts, I'm not looking at anybody's stats. I don't know Shaq's and Hakeem's and Jokic's stats off the top of my head. Obviously, it could be a little bit of recency bias if I go with Jokic because, I'm watching him in his prime. Honestly, though, I think if we're looking at prime, Shaquille O'Neal has to be number one. I think 0001 Shaq is like a top 3 NBA player of all time. I don't think anybody can stop that man except for a free throw.
Yeah.
But that aside, different. I'm honestly, I think I'm taking Jokic over Hakeem, and I know people are gonna be like, what? And like all time, Hakeem is better. Like obviously, Hakeem has the better resume as of right now. Jokic is still within his prime. But the way I look at it, yes, Hakeem is a back-to-back NBA champion, and I will not take that away from him. But Jordan retired those 2 years. Let's calm our horses.
Well, offensively, does Hakeem have a better resume than Jokic?
I don't think that's a thing. Like the only thing you can tell me is legacy. Like I understand Hakeem, and this is not a knock to Hakeem at all.
I'm saying in terms of their best seasons productions.
And the best, I'm taking Jokic.
No, I agree with you. I think
the last 2 years of Jokic.
Until
the last 2 years of Jokic have been different. And if people, I'm just making a case for myself. If people want to go at me for not taking Hakeem over Jokic because the legacy. Number one, the question was prime for prime. Number two, even if it was legacy against legacy, obviously Hakeem's resume looks better, but Jokic still has a lot of good years in the tank. The way Jokic plays isn't a play style that can slow down within the next few years. He doesn't play like a Derrick Rose or Russell Westbrook where he just fully relies on athleticism. I don't know. I love Hakeem, but I'm gonna take Jokic.
I think Jokic is a better post player too. Not gonna lie. The stats say he is. I think he looks like an elephant, but at the same time, he's shooting like 65% this year. So, Z, go for it.
I'm gonna take a different route on this one. Because mainly I love Jokic. Last year, I believe he had one of the best statistical seasons of a big that we've ever seen. So obviously I believe I'm taking all of that into account.
Not to cut you off, I think it was the best statistical like NBA, like in-depth stats. I'm pretty sure it was player.
Right. His PER and all that stuff was insane. Like, so as much as I like to talk about that, these other two guys, like Sandy just said, Shaq, I'm definitely starting Shaq mainly because I genuinely don't think anybody can stop him. And I would much rather have Hakeem Olajuwon off the bench, mainly because Hakeem, it was the first, I believe, player or big to win Depoy and MVP in the same year.
We're talking
that was 93.
Strictly offense. Imagine that there's no defensive possessions the entire game.
Okay, strictly offense. Strictly offense, fine. I will take Jokic mainly because he's going to get other guys involved. I was just going to say that in terms of speed and things like that, I was taking into account for Hakeem over Jokic specifically. However, if we're specifically talking about offense, we're taking into account playmaking, we're taking into account scoring, post moves, all that. Yeah, Jokic is coming off the bench for me, and I'll take Hakeem.
I'm not gonna lie though, like with this topic, I don't think there's a true wrong answer. I think it's the way you view it. I think Shaq always has to be number one, but I think Jokic and Hakeem, like if you
I
guys
think
give me
Hakeem
is.
I love Hakeem. I think that I think he's one of the best ceiling raisers of all time. He's someone you could just plug onto any team. He's going to be a Depoy caliber player. He's going to do work if you give him the ball alone. But I do think he's pretty clearly the worst on offense out of the three.
I agree.
That's my take.
I have to.
I thought you were gonna give me a Jeopardy question, like a question I had to.
For real.
That's just a ranking question.
I'm so
Anybody
upset.
can answer that. Lightout could have answered that question.
The one time in Jeopardy, it's impressive because I thought of tough questions. I thought they were. and almost all of them were answered. The one that skipped by that was a mistake was the one where I was trying to get you guys to say the 2 scoring plays that happened before Ray Allen's 3-pointer.
Yeah,
and we forgot.
I swear to God, I
That
was
was
gonna
the
say
most
Kawhi.
confusing one.
I was gonna say Kawhi and then LeBron, but I thought we were talking about Miami.
Yeah.
I will say this though.
Right. I was literally about to be like, didn't Kawhi miss a free throw?
Also,
Like,
by the
what do
way,
you
for the
mean?
viewers, if
I
you
know
have
that
not
last,
seen episode 32 Jeopardy, I highly recommend it. It's an entertaining listen.
The best episode we've recorded.
I think
and
so.
it's only
Also,
gonna get better. The game shows are gonna get better.
I just want to say, because someone DM'd me asking why I kept cutting you off, Saney, the audio got a little misaligned. So whenever Saney was giving his answer, I'd say if it was right or wrong, like as he was saying it. And I wasn't trying to be a jerk. It was a little.
We got a little bit of constructive. I also got some constructive criticism in my DMs. One was Caleb was too loud, like his audio was louder than us. I hope you guys forgive us for that. It was our first time doing a episode with like what? How many people were in the thing? Like 6 of us, 7 of us.
It was like 6.
We're getting used to it, and we're only gonna get better from here.
I felt like a statistician with all the papers around me. I'm like like at the scoring table. But we got to get into this episode.
Just real quick though, nobody. And listen, I'm known as like. Recently, my content's been a little more professional. I came up as a troll.
No, you went dummy. You went dummy.
I went. That's
I came up as a troll.
That's just a reminder to everybody out there. If I make a take or if I say something crazy, because people used to go up my life back then. Like I remember one time where I was like, Trey's praying at the same level as Luka when Trey was on that crazy playoff run, and people were getting mad at me for saying that. I don't say stuff out of my butt for no reason. Okay, I know what I'm talking about, and if I have a crazy take every now and then, that's what makes me a good analytical NBA fan. Because I'm not afraid to be wrong. But don't ever think I'm just making... I hate when people spam me for the recency bias and you don't actually watch. Like, bro, trust me. If I can name 7 of the 13 players that started on the 2016 Sacramento Kings lineups off the top of my head, I think I watch a little bit of basketball.
Let them know, Saint.
Bro, I hate when people say that.
And Z held his own, too. Like, there's a lot of credibility in this podcast.
Oh, exactly. Z was second.
Oh, God. I was chilling. I was like, bro, if Sandy's gonna run away with these Kings questions, I can't do anything, bro. I'm sorry.
Like, bro, I even know the names. I even know the names of everybody's
nuclear.
signature shoe. Like, I know everything. Like, that's my life. This is my life.
All right.
And for me, I'm a bit of a ZZ Huncho's a bit of a historian. So Cornbread Maxwell, I got that. It's a damn shame that we had a big Celtics fan
that
on
was
here
crazy.
and he didn't know the answer to that question.
Crazy.
But me and Sadie was, as soon as the question was spewed, me and Sadie knew. Everybody else didn't know but me and Sadie. And who? Yeah. That's crazy. That's genuinely wild.
I got on JJ for that because me and JJ are very close. He's got to come back for another round for our next game. But with the lineup for today's episode, it's going to be somewhat short. First topic, does the best power forward play in LA? The next, what are the odds? And the last one is the Q&A. Starting off with, obviously it's an Anthony Davis segment. I want to start off hot. I do think at the peak of their powers, Anthony Davis is a better power forward than Giannis Antetokounmpo, and I don't think that should be a crazy take.
At the peak
if
of
we're
their
talking
powers?
strictly, you have one game where both guys are going to be healthy throughout the whole game. And
I don't mean just one
mishaps.
game. I think like if Anthony
but I'm
Davis
saying,
is going
like,
crazy for 2-3 months and Giannis is going crazy for 2-3 months.
I'm saying like throughout every game
that's
he
the
is like
catch.
There's no mishaps.
That's the
100%.
catch.
That's the reason I always take Giannis over AD because I think you guys have fully understood now that a big thing for me is availability. That's why I didn't have Kawhi in my top 5 list when you guys did. That's why I don't have guys. I didn't even consider AD when I was doing the top 10 at the beginning of the season, if I'm being honest.
Y'all are no fun. I thought you were going to yell at me for what I just said.
Well, it's true, bro. People forget. Like, here's the thing. Like, do you guys
agree?
remember Anthony Davis on the Pelicans before the Nike logo? Am I the only person that remembers that red jersey Pelicans Anthony Davis?
No, he was nice. I'm saying he's even better than that right now.
Yeah, for sure. But I haven't seen enough of him in terms of availability to claim that he could be better than Giannis. But I'm talking strictly from even back in his younger days, bro. Like when he was carrying that Pelicans team, because that team was garbage. Other than him, and Drew Holiday was all right every night. Drew Holiday didn't really stand out to me until he got to the Bucks. He was nice on the Sixers, fell off a bit in New Orleans, and then came back on the Bucks. I think that system just didn't fit him, to be fair.
Do you think Pelicans AD is better than current Giannis?
No. And only because.
Oh, Z's thinking.
only because, listen, I think Giannis is the difference with Giannis and AD, and I understand Giannis has a better team built around him, though they built it through the draft, and those guys learned to play together over the years. None of them were meant to be superstars or even all-stars. But I will say this about Giannis compared to AD, especially when we're talking AD's Pelicans days. Did AD have enough time to prove me wrong? No, so I can't really knock him for that, but from what I saw, when you watch, especially a playoff game, Giannis, when both teams play them, and this goes for both players, obviously the gravity is going to shift towards them, especially on offense. Teams, number one, how are you going to stop these unicorns, these demigods on offense, right? I think there was instances where even though AD was scoring, he could still not win a game. AD didn't have as big of an impact on winning as Giannis does, for me, which is why I'd
like for you to explain that.
Well, the records.
Dog.
Giannis finishes top of the seat. Here's the thing. If we're talking a Milwaukee team that's built through free agency and they're a big market team and all that stuff, that's different. But we're talking about guys that were built through the draft, and not Giannis isn't even a lottery pick. Do they have one lottery pick on that team that was drafted to Milwaukee, like their star players? Are any of them lottery picks?
Are we expecting Anthony Davis to develop talent over in New
No,
Orleans?
but I think it's much easier to play with Giannis rather than play with Anthony Davis, and that shows
Why
on
is that?
the
Why is that?
record.
I don't
And winning. Why would you think that Giannis, it's easier to win with Giannis than it is to win with AD? I think it's much easier to win with Giannis.
I think you have
than it is with
to.
AD.
There's definitely things that you can see in terms of being a black hole on offense, or.
I don't think he's a black hole. I think
No,
he's
I'm not saying.
offensively
I'm not saying he's a black hole, but I'm saying when you can't really tell from either because Giannis from the outside, from a fan's perspective, he seems like the better teammate. Seems like more motivating and more of a killer, you might say. But when I'm looking at them as players, once again, this is at the peak of their powers, I think Anthony Davis is a significantly better defender. I think he's a much better rim protector. He's averaged more blocks, like almost a full block more than Giannis at any point in his career. I think he has smoother movements on defense. He's more disciplined as a defender. He's someone who could actually clog the paint at the bottom as opposed to, Giannis, who has Brook Lopez, who's doing that job for him. Giannis is versatile, but he's not really. He's not locking anyone up. I'm sorry?
AD had prime boogie with him.
Well, I'm talking Anthony Davis, like the Lakers championship, what he's doing right now, like as a center. Okay. He's a much better rim defender. If you want to ask you this question, hold on.
I'm talking as a player though. We'll continue.
Yeah, and on offense, I'd say he has a very similar dominance factor, where AD is more back to the basket but could still face up. He has smoother movements on offense, better shooting touch, more reliable at the free throw line. But the one separator, it sounds stupid, but it's the dog factor. Like it's what I'm talking about. And obviously with AD, health plays a factor too. But I was talking with JJ the other day, and he was telling me how Zach LaVine, the fall off he's had this year is a lot due to confidence, and he thinks that he had the tools to be much better than Donovan Mitchell. If you look at Zach LaVine in 2021, I believe he was averaging like 28 with the Bulls on like 50% shooting, 40% from three. He was a very fluid shot creator. Obviously the dunk contest winner, someone who could get downhill, but it's just either the bad situation or a mindset thing. Like he's just not playing up to that potential. I think it's similar. Zach LaVine being better than Donovan Mitchell. So Donovan Mitchell, like he's just obviously shorter, and Zach LaVine, in terms of tools, has tools that can be comparable to Donovan Mitchell and that he'd be a better player. But I do think like the factors of whether it's competitiveness or whether it's situation or confidence, like Donovan Mitchell's confidence is unmatched. Giannis's confidence is unmatched. Davis has been in situations where even though he was healthy last year, he felt like he was deferring to LeBron a little bit.
I don't like your point. I don't like your point that he's a better shooter than Giannis. The stats don't say that. In his Lakers days, the stats don't say that. Giannis shoots more. Giannis has more shots at a better efficiency every game, and that includes three-pointers. He shoots more three-pointers and shoots them at a higher clip.
What about
shoots
free
at
throws?
a higher clip and efficiency. And with free throws, Anthony Davis with the Lakers was not a great free throw taker. Giannis 72%, Anthony Davis 74%. Like it's not as huge of a difference as you think it was.
I just see Giannis.
And I'm looking at peak Anthony Davis. I'm looking at that.
My thing is that
I'm looking at these basketball reference stats. Like he's not a great three-point shooter. I'm not saying Giannis is the best either, but Giannis has better numbers over the last however many years he's been on Lakers compared to the last four with the Bucks, and even the peak 2 years, the two peak years even. So I do agree with some of the stuff you're saying. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna argue a lot of it because I didn't prepare those in-depth stats because I didn't know we were going to do an AD versus Giannis take. I thought we were just going to talk about Anthony Davis' current situation. So I'm not going to hold you to it. I'm not going to say you are wrong. But the shooting thing caught me a little off guard, and I just pulled up the numbers now because from my hindsight, I watch every Lakers game because in Canada it's hard to get games, and they're always on national TV. So I'm usually always watching a Lakers game if it's not a Thunder game. Anthony Davis, and he's open a lot of the time too. He's not shooting like crazy contested shots. He's not as good of a shooter as people make him out to be.
He's a 40. I know people think he's a stretch four. He's 40. He's 40% from the corners. I don't like when AD shoots from the top of the key. And the reason I say peak of their powers, this is when Anthony Davis is only taking like a 3-pointer a game, and he's spacing from the mid range. And I saw plenty of times
peak of his power.
Plenty of times against the Bucks where he was like sizing up Brook Lopez, and on a step back jump shot, it was like he was a guard.
Giannis is much more more consistent in terms of Giannis basically shoots 30%. In the last 4 years, Giannis has consistently shot 30%.
Well, the last 4 years is when AD has been banged up.
No, I'm talking. Last 4 years include his top two seasons, his championship season with the Lakers. Sure. And Giannis is shooting at a higher clip. It's not like I honestly, I'm not gonna lie. When I first looked at the numbers, I'm making the assumption that Anthony Davis shoots more threes than Giannis because we come in when we think of Anthony Davis, we don't think of him as a
three-point shooter.
I don't think of him as a shooter either, but I do think of him as someone who will let it pop every now and then, because we see the misses.
Right. That's the biggest problem.
Giannis is. I would rely on Giannis to shoot a 3-pointer over AD. I don't think that's crazy to say either. Because both of them are going to shoot them only when they're open. No, none of them take contested Steph Curry guard type shots, right? It's a pick and pop. They always do, or either like some catch and shoot. They don't like Giannis. You'll see him dribble into a shot. Yeah, that's
my issue. Is I feel like whenever I
they're
see
both
Giannis,
terrible. Here's the thing. They're both terrible. Don't think I'm calling Giannis. I'm gonna rely on Giannis to take a 3-point shot. If he's on the court, at best he's my fourth option in terms of shooting a 3-pointer. At best.
Right.
But so is Anthony Davis.
Once again, I just think at the peak of their powers, it's hard to see Giannis lacing 3-pointers, pull-up jumpers.
I'm not going
I can
at you
see
for that.
Anthony Davis doing it. I can see
Anthony
Davis.
I'm not going at you for that
rhythm for a jumper.
I'm not going at you for that because I don't have those numbers prepared for both sides. So I'm not going at you for
not even
for
numbers,
most of your points.
It's just like watching the games. So
watching the games, I would argue. Then if we're talking about watching the games, I would argue that. Like off a pull-up, the thing is, the only reason I want to say Anthony Davis is that his jumper just looks smoother than Giannis's. But the numbers say they're basically the exact same. Like in terms of like shooting jumpers, they're not far off.
See,
and I think Giannis is more dominant than AD in the paint. I think Giannis is a better finisher. I'm not going to say much better. He's a much better finisher on the inside. And in terms of going to the mid-range of the 3-point at all 3 levels, they're not crazy far off at all.
My thing is when I look at the two of them, we're taking into account peak and all those things. So for me, looking at Anthony Davis, the first thing that I was going to say is exactly what Sandy said about the availability, because the biggest, like, as much as you want to like push past it, it's been a problem. Like it's been a problem to the point where
I think Giannis
is better
than AD.
Leaves the game with flu-like symptoms.
Like.
Right. But I'm saying if we're taking them peak for peak, what I know for sure is that Giannis is going to play the same damn way he's been playing for the past 5 years. The only difference between the way that their play styles has been is that Anthony Davis got slander for trying to play like Kevin Durant instead of a big man, whereas Giannis is not out there pulling fadeaways all the damn time and 3-point pull-ups and transition and things of that nature. Giannis has his own like format for how he's going to approach certain games. He's going to barrel down to the rim. Like Sandy said, I personally agree too. Giannis, I would say Giannis is a slightly better finisher than Anthony Davis, but that's mainly because most of Giannis's points are coming from him barreling down the lane, looking to punch it on somebody or 2 people or maybe 3. Anthony Davis, on the other hand, he can have a moment where he can knock down 2 fadeaway jumpers, and then he's going to shoot like 2-3 more of them things, including maybe a 3-pointer to go along with it before he settles back in and is like, okay, let me go back to this. Let me go back to this post work or this, things like that. So my only issue is I've watched Anthony Davis since he's been in New Orleans, since he got to the Los Angeles Lakers, and what happened was, and I think it was a sort of a side effect of playing in LA, playing in Tinseltown, maybe even playing with LeBron James, but AD was out there just trying to be like a stretch forward when in New Orleans he was like, before they got Boogie, I mean, he was the consensus best big man in the league. They get Boogie goes down, or Boogie goes down with an injury. AD's still doing the same exact thing, playing the 5, post moves, defense, all of those things. But the biggest problem is that like if you had to tell me like who do you want peak for peak in this one game, I am not going to be as confident in Anthony Davis as I am with Giannis in terms of I know exactly how Giannis is about to go about this game. He's going to go in there. He's going to give me 30 and 13 rebounds, maybe a couple of blocks, maybe even some assists. Because like Sandy said, if I got Giannis barreling down the lane, you saw the Bucks have been built around draft picks. As a matter of fact, Chris Middleton and Giannis didn't even like each other at first when Giannis first walked into the door. But now you got Giannis barreling down the lane, looking to kick out to guys and things of that nature. And the Bucks are at the top of their conference because of it. Anthony Davis is out here doing his thing for the past 7-8 games, and it's been great for sure. But like Magic Johnson said when he put out a tweet, he said, I would have Anthony Davis at the top of my MVP conversations right now. And I'm like, well, unfortunately, since the Lakers started at the bottom and AD has been playing well, he's going to need like maybe 5-6 more games for me to be able to confidently say that, because we don't know. He could be out the door in the third quarter. We don't know. He left with flu-like symptoms the other night. And before they even addressed it as flu-like symptoms, everybody was in the comments saying, oh, here we go again. Here we go again. Nobody knew what was wrong with him. But when they heard flu-like symptoms, they just were like, okay, well, that's another excuse. Things like that, man. Availability is the biggest ability you can have in basketball nowadays, especially when you are a consensus top 5 player in the game, like AD is when he is healthy. However, it isn't a matter of what it used to be back in the day where we could definitively say if AD is healthy, he's the best big in the game. He's the top 3 player in the game. It's not as definitive as it once was, and that's simply because he's been banged up for the past few years, and we can't really look around.
Yeah, the point I was trying to make was like, even if this is like, let's say we're going into a final series and it's Giannis versus AD, they're both playing incredibly well, but we're doing it now where Anthony Davis has had the history. I'm taking Giannis. Like I'm doing that. But if they're both completely healthy and they're both playing at the peak of their powers, I think Anthony Davis is much more unpredictable. Giannis has had those moments against whatever team it was, the Celtics, where it's like, oh, it's either a Euro step layup or a charge, and he's just not as diverse as Anthony Davis on offense.
I feel you on that.
I think he's more dominant in the sense that when he's on and the whistle is going his way, there's no one who could stop him. But with Anthony Davis, I think he's a slightly better back to the basket player, but he's still a good face-up player. And he's not someone who's going to charge the basket, and he's not necessarily a drive and kick player like Giannis is, but he does have that face-up aspect to his game, and he's not a black hole. He's willing to pass. And I think it was more so the defense that won me over. But that was a good conversation. Let's move on to segment 2, what are the odds? I'm going to ask you a what are the odds question, and I want you to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10 based on how good the odds are. If the odds are good that the statement is right, 8, 9, 10. If it's awful, 0 through 3. First question. What are the odds that Jason Tatum currently is better than Kevin Durant ever was?
A 1. A 1. A 1. Like, that is the biggest one.
I'm trying to provoke some reactions out of you. Unfortunately,
listen, I'm not. That's not a knock at. Yeah, I would be screaming right now. By the way, this episode. I'm not. I hate you. If you're on YouTube, you see the jerseys in the background. I hate to give this guy any credit, but 2014 Kevin Durant, or even 2019 or 2018 Kevin Durant, whichever one you want to look at, whichever one you think is his peak. There's an argument for both, for sure. That is like the most rage-inducing player to watch if he's playing against you.
I think KD's better as well at his peak, like pretty clearly. Tell me why in concrete terms.
Okay, well, we're talking about Jason Tatum currently, right? We're not talking about potential? Okay, that's perfect. I'll tell you why. Kevin Durant, if we're talking peak for peak, Kevin Durant's prime, yes, he had the greatest team of all time around him, but at the end of the day, he was a playoff riser. Not only did he perform in the regular season, but when it mattered most, he would contribute to winning basketball. That man put the Cavaliers in a body bag that I have never seen a team be put in before. Now, you can argue that the Warriors were that good, and I'll also agree, like, that team is not losing, to be honest. Healthy, they beat any team in history. But why is that? It's because of Kevin Durant. It's not because of the other players. The main key factor, and a little side note, Steve Kerr actually came out, funny that we're talking about this, and said that Steph Curry was the key factor, and he was the better player for the Warriors, not Kevin Durant. Blasphemy. That is ridiculous, and I don't like how the Warriors have been low-key taking jabs at Kevin Durant over the last couple of years since he left.
You think that's
It's blasphemy. It is blasphemy. Go look at Kevin Durant's stats.
No. I literally just looked at them before the episode. I saw one of the series. He was averaging like It's like 35
37.
a game.
Yeah, like some
33 a
ridiculous
game, I
numbers,
believe.
bro.
But the issue is that the Warriors fans will say that Steph Curry, his spacing opens up that game for Kevin Durant. Sadie,
His spacing, bro. A one-on-one listen
for
to me.
sure.
I love Curry. A one-on-one situation, Kevin Durant. I'm taking Kevin Durant over Curry. Off the ball screen, I'm taking Kevin Durant. If we're talking about that Warriors team, any single, I don't care if you call me out, even the off screen stuff.
Off the screen?
I don't care. Especially that year.
Off the screen is
especially
crazy.
no,
Off
bro.
the screen
Listen to me.
is
Especially that
absolutely
year, bro. Anything that has to do with offense, Kevin Durant was better. I don't care what anybody says. Kevin Durant was better than any player I have ever seen that season. He was better than LeBron. He was better than Curry. He was better than Kawhi.
Okay.
I'm not talking in general. I'm talking that peak. That
2017.
I'm talking that.
Which
2017, 2018.
2017,
17, 18. Not the first year of the Nike logo. The first year of the Nike logo.
Is Kevin Durant?
Are we talking 2017 where KD was averaging 33
LeBron.
in the finals, or 2018 when he was averaging 29?
Is 18 Kevin Durant better than 18 LeBron?
That's the question too.
No. I take that back. I take that back. I was thinking. No. I take that back. I know. I take that back. I take that statement back. But I do think he's better than Steph Curry. I was just exaggerating my point that I think Kevin Durant was better than Curry in all aspects of the game.
Thankfully, you said it. Now
in terms of ball handling and stuff, as a point guard, yeah, obviously I'm taking even ball handling, bro. Kevin Durant is nice, and I hate to say that. That boils my blood to say. That's what people fail to understand. I'm not talking out of spite or out of hate for Curry. If anything, I'm talking out of hate for Kevin Durant. So that's how you know it's really like, bro, I'm sick and I'm pushing everything I can out of my throat. Pause to talk about this right now, okay? Bro, Kevin Durant was on another level. Like that pull-up game, I have never seen anything like it from anywhere on that court. I am taking Kevin Durant 10 times out of 10, 100 times out of 100, 1,000 out of 1,000, a million out of a million over Curry and Jason Tatum any day of the week. Any day of the week.
So now that you said that, I'm bringing up a what are the odds question on the fly. Mm-hmm. What are the odds that 2018 Kevin Durant peaked as a top 5 player ever?
Ooh. Well, let me think. I got 18 Braun in there. I got 01 Shaq. I got any Jordan, basically, like 96, if we want to say.
2016 Steph.
Kevin Durant's better than 2016 Steph. 18 Durant is better than 2016.
Get
Steph.
him! Wait, I want to hear this. Z,
say
something. Say something, Z. Say something, Z.
This is very interesting.
Here, hold on, let me pull up some numbers just to make sure I'm not remembering I know it was his regular season. Let me pull up his playoff numbers because I want to make sure I'm talking about the same season. Okay, but.
Okay. I don't think you are.
No, I think I am.
don't think you are.
I think I am.
If you said 2017, I'd be like, yeah, because I know both finals in 2017 he averaged 33 a game.
Curry's regular season was, Kevin Durant, I feel like could have 100% had the same regular season and that same 50-40-90 club if he wasn't on a team with 3 other All-Stars. Curry fell off in the playoffs.
He could also make the finals if he didn't go 3-1 lead to Steph Curry.
He fell off when it mattered most in the finals.
Oh, and KD fell off when it mattered most in the playoffs.
KD we're talking about 2018. We're not talking about 2016. But you see, so you're not even arguing the same player.
2018
Kevin Durant.
If 2016 didn't happen, 2018 Kevin Durant would be on OKC.
Sure.
That's where we need to keep the conversation right there.
Hypothetical.
Let's start right there.
But 2018 Kevin Durant did happen.
The hypotheticals that you just brought to the table. What do you mean?
What are you talking about right now?
Okay.
We're talking about 2018 Durant versus 2016 KD.
Okay, so 2016 Steph Curry is a unanimous, mind you, the only unanimous MVP.
Yeah, but that's a result of that season.
Right?
It's not a result of the history. It's a result of that season specifically.
It's a result of that season specifically.
He put up the same numbers as Kevin Durant did in 2014. He put up the same numbers as Kevin Durant did in 2014. Look at Kevin Durant in 2014.
Let me ask you this question, Sandy. Let me ask you this question. 2018 Kevin Durant. Please tell me significantly what the hell 2018 KD did that was better on his own than what 2016 Steph Curry did leading his own team.
Jump in. He was a better scorer.
Besides the fact
he was a better scorer. He was a better scorer. And I'm taking Kevin Durant over Curry as a better defender. He's a better scorer, better defender. I would take Kevin Durant on a team over 2016 Steph any day of the week. Any day of the week.
So you're taking 2018 Kevin Durant. Why? Why specifically 2018
I'm typing in
Kevin
stats
Durant?
right now so I could pull these and give you the specific numbers to show you that 2016 Steph, while it was the best Steph I've ever seen, 100%, I agree with you. That unanimous MVP was a result of the season. You can't use that as an argument when you're comparing it to another player.
So you're taking 2018 Kevin Durant, who wasn't even a top 3 MVP candidate that year, you're taking him over 2016 Steph. That's what I'm trying to figure out right now. Is that what we're doing?
Well,
who? Is that the question?
The question
it's
is,
a difference
who's
of
the better
you
player?
were literally.
Z,
I'm a little
Z,
lost in the sauce
Z,
right now. I'm just wondering.
Can you answer this question for me? Does the MVP go to the best player in the league?
Not every time. You
Okay,
know that.
not,
You know
yeah,
that.
I'm
Come
making
on
sure
now.
you knew that because on the Warriors in 2018, they had two guys who in most years would be MVP candidates. It's hard to give it to one. 2018, who won it? Was it Harden?
2018 was Harden, and that was when he averaged
That's a
so let me
clear.
get this
I'm
straight.
saying like
Yeah.
it's when you're this lone superstar on a team, it's much easier to win it than
Z-
two
Z- Z- Z.
superstars.
Can I just
So
wait?
let me
Z.
get- so-
Can I just say
so-
this real quick? And I just wanted to let you know and put
Go
you
ahead.
into perspective. Don't cut me off when I say these stats out. That 20, as impressive as it was, I'm not taking it away from him. Okay, that 2016 unanimous MVP was a result of that season and other players not playing up to par compared to Curry, which it was obvious that Curry was clear of them that season. But let's compare his 2016 season to Kevin Durant's MVP season, so you can understand the fact that you're a unanimous MVP isn't a reason on why you're better than another player from a different season. You can't use that as an argument. Let me say this. Let me say this.
Wait.
Let me say
Before
this.
you say that,
30 Kevin Durant and 20,
okay, what year are we talking
the
about?
2016 Curry, the unanimous MVP
What year we talking
compared to Kevin Durant.
No, what Kevin
No,
Durant?
I'm talking about 2018 Kevin Durant because Kevin Durant 2018 as a player was better than 2014 Kevin Durant. But 2014 Kevin Durant wasn't. 2014 Kevin Durant
Go
wasn't.
ahead, read the stats.
2014 Kevin Durant wasn't a
stats.
unanimous MVP because LeBron James existed on his when he was putting up numbers in Miami we've never seen before. So let me read off the stats to show you that if
Z,
that
would you agree
unanimous
that
MVP.
2018 KD is better than 2014 KD? Would you agree? I personally agree.
I agree. I'm just
2014 KD.
I'm using this point.
The one that was averaging 32
Yeah.
a game.
Dude, it's the Warriors. It's hard to average 30 a game in the regular season when you're playing with Steph
what I'm-
Curry.
I get okay. Here's the thing. This is why this topic in and of itself is very hard because we're taking into account that 2018 Kevin Durant, right, is playing on the same team as Steph Curry. Steph Curry has been on the record, not just him, Steve Kerr, other Warriors, Draymond Green, about how selfless Steph Curry was in those years, and you saw it on the court. There's a reason why Steve Kerr said that Steph Curry was the most valuable player for the Warriors during that dynasty. There's also a reason why Kevin Durant left that damn dynasty. Why? Because Kevin Durant was not looked at as valuably as Steph Curry was. You can see it in the damn finals. The man literally in his first finals he averaged 33 points.
Because I'm speaking logically.
In his first finals with the Warriors he averaged 33 a game. 33 a game. The second finals I believe he averaged 29 a game. Steph Curry was right behind him at 28. And there was a legitimate MVP, Finals MVP conversation had in the first three games. The only reason that Steph didn't win Finals MVP or got taken out of that was Game 3 because KD obviously went crazy.
There's a difference when you're guarded by Kyrie Irving and a difference when you're guarded by LeBron James. Okay, number one, there's a difference when you're guarded by Kyrie compared to guarding by LeBron James. And Kevin Durant still put up better numbers than Curry. Number two, I understand your point that Curry is a great player of all time. Yes, my point is. I still didn't even get to finish my point. You guys went on a rant. That you can't use the fact that he was unanimous MVP as a reason to why he is better. Because your number one point was, we've never seen a unanimous MVP before. Yeah, it happened in 2016. 2018, Kevin Durant didn't play in that season. And I guarantee you, if Curry was matched up against other MVPs from that decade, 2012, 2013, LeBron James, 2013, 2014, Kevin Durant. If we're talking about those seasons as a whole, can Curry win the MVP? Yes, there's a case, but he's not unanimous. The unanimous argument can only be made for the 2016 season because he was clear of players during the regular season during that season. That doesn't make him clear of any other player you name from that decade because we are talking about that season specifically in terms of that regular season award. That's what I'm trying to tell you. So do not use the unanimous MVP because Kevin Durant, I have it up right now and I'll read off the stats if you want to. His 2013, 2014 stats, and I'm not saying 2014 is the better one, is better than Curry's 2016. Curry, 30... these are their playoffs. Let me pull up his actual season. 30.1 points per game, 6.7 assists, 5-point rebounds. Shooting 50% from the field, 45 from 3, 90% from free throw. Beautiful, amazing MVP numbers. Of course, I agree that it was a great season. Right. Kevin Durant in 2013, 2014.
Mind you, 73-9. By the way, best regular season team of all time.
One of the best teams assembled of all time. One of the best teams assembled of all time as well. Kevin Durant had Westbrook. Kevin Durant, who did he have on that Thunder team? Westbrook was injured. He had to carry that team on his back. In 2014, Westbrook had a knee surgery.
Are you talking about 2014?
Westbrook had a knee surgery. Anyway, let me continue. Kevin Durant in 2014. 32 points per game, 5.5 assists, 7.4 total rebounds, 88% from free throw, 40% from 3 and 50.3% from the field. So he's 0.2% worse shooting from the field in total. Curry has a 5% mark on him in terms of 3-point shooting. I'll give him that. He's supposed to be a 3-point shooter though, 100%. But Kevin Durant was a better scorer. Kevin Durant shared the ball more than Curry did in his MVP season. Kevin Durant had more rebounds. Kevin Durant was going off that season. So that's why I'm trying to tell you that unanimous argument.
You just said
that's why the unanimous argument can't be used.
You just said, but if
that unanimous argument can't be used.
No. The unanimous argument, you said that it was one of my main reasons. That's a reason in and of itself. It's not going to just completely get dismissed because you're just mad that he won unanimous MVP.
I'm not mad about it. I just said it was
when you have 73 goddamn wins and you are averaging 30 on 50, 40, 90 shooting splits, and we haven't seen anybody of your size or stature do this before.
Of course, we haven't seen anybody do the unanimous. Of course, we haven't seen anybody.
Now,
oh my god,
we're bringing size.
Now, when we're trying to compare this,
are you the same guy that?
When we're bringing
something like that. No, keep going.
I didn't say that at all. But anyway, we're comparing it to 2018. 2018 KD. I'm trying to figure out, are we comparing 2016 Steph to 2018 KD? And another thing, too, we were talking about playoff riser and all that stuff. In 2016, that year, right, KD choked in the playoffs. We fast forward 6 years later to Brooklyn. He choked again in the worst playoff performance we ever saw from Kevin Durant of all time. So my question is, we're talking about playoff rises and all this stuff. Kevin Durant has had significant blows to his legacy that have happened in the playoffs. Steph, on the other hand, happened in the finals. So I'm kind of confused here. If Kevin Durant's the best player, which he is, I agree with you. Best player, obviously, he's 7 feet tall, whatever, boom, boom, boom. But when we're talking about how much does that matter when you're going into the playoffs, when you're going deep into the playoffs, and if you make it to the finals? Steph's made it to 6 finals. KD's been there 3 times. Okay.
It is.
Okay. So let me get this straight. If you take Steph Curry off that 2016, 2015 team, do they make the finals?
No, he's the best player. And obviously putting Steph Curry in a team as good as that 2014, 2015 Warriors they're going to go to the finals. Do they make it without him? Of course not, because he's the best player. But that team, if you replace Steph Curry with Kevin Durant, they still go to the finals. It's a result of their team.
I don't know.
It's a result of their team. You also have to remember with Oklahoma, during the Westbrook and the Kevin Durant era, 4 out of the 6 times they went to the playoffs, they went to the Western Conference Finals, and people tend to forget that Westbrook was dealing with knee surgery. He was supposed to retire. Bro, Westbrook was out for so many games, so many times, especially in pivotal moments in the playoffs. Kevin Durant, he literally tweeted this out himself. Take Westbrook off that team, and I'm playing with a bunch of cats. Word for word, Kevin Durant said that out. If you take Steph Curry off of that Warriors team, do they make the finals? Absolutely not. Do they make the playoffs? Yes. They might even have a shot at being a top 4 seed. They might be in the bottom end of the top 4 seed without Curry.
Who's leading that team without?
Are you saying 2016? The Warriors would be a top 4 seed?
15, 16.
That is crazy.
That's not crazy. Draymond Green is the first player in NBA history to have over 1,000 points, 500 rebounds, 500 assists, 100 blocks, 100 steals.
Who the hell is replacing Steph Curry?
For the record, I'm actually taking Z's side here. I think it is the 2016 Steph over 2018 KD.
I'm taking 2018 KD.
I'm sorry.
No, I understand
2018
you have a
KD.
case. I just think in that season, Steph helped KD more than KD helped Steph.
But we're talking about peak for peak. We're talking about these 2 players. We're not talking about what he did in that season compared to Kevin Durant. If you were building a team, are you taking
2018 KD is a forgotten
Durant?
Well, considering the objective to basketball is to win, I do think Steph as a building block compared to KD will help you win more.
But that team,
we've seen that in Brooklyn.
Bro, don't put Kevin Durant's issues in Brooklyn as a knock to him. Kyrie and Harden both went down. Kyrie and Harden.
All I know is if you
come on,
if you ask me who do you want to build around, if you ask me who you want to build around between Steph and Kevin Durant, I'm picking Steph. Why? Because Steph isn't going to go to the front office and tell them to get him the Avengers. Give me my boy from the block back in the day. Let me get some Big Macs along the way with that. You can get me a damn zebra along with. I'm not going. Steph Curry ain't gonna do all that. Steph Curry said, "What we got? Give me a shooter. Give me a
I want to go back to this.
Wait. Are you using Kevin Durant's Brooklyn losses in Brooklyn as a knock to him not being a winner? Is that what I just heard?
I am using Kevin Durant's player empowerment moves
Steph
in
Curry
Brooklyn
is not.
as to why Brooklyn
Draymond Green
has
is that
been,
guy for the Warriors. That's not Steph. Steph isn't the dog in the locker room. Steph is not the guy that does that.
Curry,
It's
so did they build around Draymond or did they build around Steph?
As a leader, Draymond.
Did they build around Draymond or did they build around Steph?
Leader. You just said
they're going to go to Draymond. They're going to be like, hey, Dray,
you just said the player empowerment guy. You
just
said the player empowerment guy. That's
the player empowerment guy left Golden State, left a great situation, left a place where he was going to get 5-6 more championships. He left that. Why? Because he was jealous that the Warrior fans love Steph more than me. So I'm going to go to Brooklyn and I'm going to go.
Draymond would literally go at him during games. Draymond tried to call him out when Draymond fell on his ass during that Clippers game in a game-winning situation when Kevin Durant was open for the ball. The Warriors media used to always go at Kevin Durant. Why would he stay in that situation? It wasn't about jealousy. It was about the fact.
Why would he stay in that situation? Why would he stay in that situation? Kobe punched Shaq in the face.
He got his 2 rings.
Kobe punched Shaq in the face.
And Shaquille O'Neal left. And Shaquille O'Neal ended up leaving.
No. Shaq didn't leave on his own accord. The front office chose Shaq over Kobe. That's what happened. That was what it was. Shaq didn't say, I want to go get some barbecue chicken. No, he didn't say that. Shaq wanted to stay there, and he thought that he was the guy. The front office. Go look at the documentaries. Go look at 2 of them, 3 of them, 4 of them. Shaq wanted to stay in LA, but the front office chose Kobe over Shaq, which in the long run it made sense.
Because Kobe didn't want to play with Shaq. Kobe didn't want to play with Shaq.
Yes, because Right. But the point
Kevin Durant
is,
doesn't have that same power. Of course, Steph Curry's going to have more power at Golden State. They drafted him, and he is the greatest Golden State Warriors to ever play for that franchise. Of course, he means more to the Warriors. Why in God's name would they ever choose Kevin Durant over Steph Curry when, in terms of what Steph Curry has done for that franchise compared to Kevin Durant?
Wouldn't he be the best player? At
that point, you're not taking the best player. You're taking the guy who's still going to win you games. Kevin Durant is a better player. That doesn't mean you're not going to take Curry.
You're going to take the guy that you can build around.
You're going to take Curry because of what Curry's done for the team.
They replaced Kevin Durant with Andrew Wiggins, and he was the second best player in the finals this year.
Literally said he was going to do whatever he can. It doesn't matter how Curry is playing for Curry to stay on the Warriors until he retires because of what Curry means to Golden State. That wasn't in terms of we want to choose a better player. That was in terms of, bro, obviously we're going to choose Curry. He means more to us. He means more to the city, and we can still win games with him. I'm not arguing with you that they can't win games without Steph. I'm arguing with you that as a player, 2018 Kevin Durant was better than 2016 Steph. You're bringing up points that don't help your case. You have a lot of points that help, but you can't say that Kevin Durant he left because he was jealous and they chose Steph Curry over him because obviously he's a better player.
I genuinely, you're picking. So tell me exactly why you're picking 2018 KD over Steph.
Better the
stats off. You read the stats off. Better in clutch.
Can I bring up one more thing? Because I'll be completely honest. I think Steph used to have that he's a non-crunch time performer umbrella over his head.
Yes, he used to, and now he's leading the league in points for the fourth quarter.
I do think he has erased that. But
going back, Jesus, bro, that is the
going back to this.
What was the dumbest?
Hold on, no.
Nothing is dumb about what I said. I have not knocked anything you said. I have not knocked anything you said.
You're trying to make an argument that Steph Curry is not clutch.
I didn't say he wasn't clutch. I said Kevin Durant is more clutch. I didn't say Curry wasn't clutch. See, you're just taking words out of my mouth. I said Kevin Durant is more clutch.
Okay, so why is Kevin Durant more clutch? Because of that Game 3 in 2018? Is that what it is? Is that where you're going? Find me all of the games in 2018.
I'm looking at Kevin Durant was clutch
Steph Curry in the finals. I'm looking at
Steph Curry in the finals, who completely fell off the grid when his team needed him most, compared to Kevin Durant, who was there with his team, putting up a consistent 35 points per game in the finals when LeBron James was guarding him.
So how did Kevin Durant get to an opportunity to showcase his talents in the finals? How did he do that? From choking! What do you mean? So then he goes on to the Golden State Warriors with the greatest shooter of all time. No.
We're talking about player for hair. We're talking about player for player.
Let me ask you this question. If Kevin Durant joined the Golden, like I just said, Kevin Durant had an opportunity to showcase his great, phenomenal talents in the finals. How did he get to that opportunity? From choking to Steph Curry. And then he gets to the finals with the greatest shooter of all time on the greatest team ever assembled. And you mean it, Sadie, if you were on the Cleveland Cavaliers and you were the coach, right? And what are you going to tell them to do? Leave, hey, worry about KD. He's our guy.
The best defender was LeBron James, and LeBron James was Kevin Durant. So obviously their main worry was Kevin Durant.
Right. So
Kevin Durant is more of a worry.
2017. So as a scorer, Kevin Durant is more of a worry than the greatest shooter of all time. Yes, is that what you're telling me right now?
Yes.
All right, I'm moving on. I'm moving on.
Is that crazy to say that Kevin Durant is a better scorer than Curry? Is that crazy to say that Kevin Durant is a better scorer than Curry?
That's not crazy to say. I think the point was nasty saying that LeBron was on KD instead of Curry because LeBron is not guarding a guard. He's guarding Kevin Durant.
No, sure, but I'm just making the point that Kevin Durant was putting those numbers with the best defensive players.
I agree. but it's tough. Like if the Cleveland Cavaliers had a better defensive player who was a guard, you're not sticking him on KD. So I just think that point's kind of
100%. But that's not invalid because
that's just
Steph Curry had an easier time. Steph Curry had an easier time than Kevin Durant. That was my point.
Can I go back to this?
Don't say that. Don't say that was great. That's whatever term you use.
The way you worded it was nasty.
All I said was that Kevin Durant. No, it wasn't. Nasty. All I said was Kevin Durant had a harder time on offense than Steph Curry did. If you look at their matchups, is that Steph Curry's fault? No, but they were easier.
LeBron is on.
How did I word it?
You said
LeBron is on Kevin Durant. What is wrong with saying
let me speak. You said LeBron is on KD instead of Steph. Like, whatever. But going into these 20,
but that's a reasonable thing to say.
No, sure it is. I'm just saying.
That's
LeBron,
my point.
LeBron is 6'9". He's not.
Yes, sure, but I was just using that towards my point of the fact that Kevin Durant had a harder time on offense compared to Steph Curry. He did. He did.
You said before, and this is something that I know I'm not going to misquote. You said that the Warriors without Steph in 2016 could be a 4 seed. Let's say they replace Steph with an average point guard. Whenever I think of the average point guard, I think of Indiana Pacers George Hill. So let's replace Curry with Indiana Pacers George Hill. They have Klay Thompson, Draymond, Harrison Barnes, Maurice Bates, Andre Iguodala, Festus Ezeli, Barbosa, Livingston, Bogut. Because I didn't want to just throw Livingston in the starting line. We'll give him George Hill. They are not a 4 seed.
Okay, I'm going to put them at the 5th seed. I'm looking at the standings now. The 5th seed was the Trailblazers, and they were 44-38. I 100% believe that the Warriors could have a better record or near that record during that season without Steph. 100% I believe that. They can go from 73-9 to 45.
What have they shown over the years that when Steph Curry is out there winning basketball team?
I'm going to look at their stats.
They're not. They're just not.
Look at their stats in that duration of time with that greatest team ever. I want you to look up the stats of the Warriors playing with KD on the floor.
It's not even
the Warriors record.
It's not even with KD because we're talking pre-KD. I just think it's wild to say that Klay Thompson as a I think it's wild to say that Klay Thompson as a 25-year-old as a first option is going to carry a team to a 5 seed. I think that's nuts.
During that time of basketball though, it was like nowadays it's harder to be even a playoff team because the competition is so much harder. But back then it was not as hard to be a top 5, top 6 team in any conference. It was usually the top 3, top 2 seeds.
How does the Warriors offense work in 2016 without Steph and Curry?
They make adjustments. I'm just saying they have
what
the talent
adjustments?
they have the talent to be a playoff team. They have
Where
the
is their
talent
scoring
to be
talent?
a playoff team.
Where is their scoring talent?
Harrison Barnes, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green was one of the most well-rounded players I've ever seen. One of the most well-rounded players I've ever seen.
I'm talking offense because on defense, where they rank in 2016.
It's going to be Sean Livingston
the defense was 5th.
Doing that damn mid-range turnaround.
Was 5th in the NBA, rating-wise. Offensively, they were 1st. Without Steph Curry, who's creating shots? How are they running offense? If it's George Hill instead. Klay Thompson has shown he's never had great shot selection.
Did I say they're going to be the best team in the NBA?
No, but you said they were going to be insane. You said they were going to. No.
I retract that. I could say they'd be a top 6. I'm looking at the standings out. I didn't realize the Clippers. I forgot about the Clippers still having Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, all of them. I forgot about. Actually, the Warriors were a 1 seed, so if you take them out, there's really only 2. I think they could be on par, if not a little better than Portland, because that was before CJ McCollum. That was when it was just Damian Lillard. I think they can.
Okay, DJ was there. What are you talking about?
But that was before he was popping off. He didn't get most improved that year.
20 points a game.
True. He wasn't
20 points a game, 44, 41 shooting.
On the rise back then. See, I think that we were looking at CJ and Dame like a baby duo back then in 2016. But we didn't look at them as legit.
They can 100% be better than those Mavericks. That Mavericks team that was carried by a 37-year-old Dirk, and Dirk went 42-40, getting the 6th seed. I 100% believe the Warriors could be better than the Mavericks, so they're already top 6 for me. And you got to remember, when you take the Warriors out, there's only 5 teams left that take that, or 4 teams left, so they can 100% be a 5th seed, maybe even a 4th seed depending on how the season goes. That wasn't a crazy thing to say.
I think. Yeah.
But their competition for the 4th seed is the Trailblazers, which, yes, the Trailblazers could be better than the Warriors, but if they don't get to the Trailblazers, they're right under them at 5th.
I think you're just
look at their competition. Look at their competition. Look at their competition from 6th to did I say they can win? They could even win a series without Steph Curry? No, but I'm saying they could still make the playoffs.
What is Draymond Green doing on offense without Steph Curry? Like, how does that? I'm just saying, when you take Steph off that team, Steph makes Klay better, Steph makes Draymond better.
2016.
No, you're not. But you're taking the best player off the team and saying they're going to be a 4th seed.
But they have the talent. They have the talent to be a top 6 seed if they make adjustments. Obviously, the team is going to run completely different. Look at the competition. To be a 6 seed, they have to be above 42-40.
You're
telling me that roster can't be above.
They can be a 6 seed.
I just said I didn't realize the Clippers were with Chris Paul.
You said there's still a chance they could be a 4 seed.
Yeah, he retracted. He retracted.
I retracted. And you got to remember when you take because listen, and you didn't listen to my point. When you take the Warriors out, right? Because they're not the first seed anymore. It would go the Spurs, Thunder, Clippers, and then Blazers are fourth. I said there's a chance that the Warriors could be better than the Blazers in the regular season. That's not crazy to say. Look at the competition. They're 44 and 36. As a fifth seed, they would be a 4 seed without the Warriors.
I'm just saying that was a year where Steph Curry was the unanimous MVP.
100%. And I'm saying they can't win. They can't win playoff games without him. I believe that. They might even get swept in the first round, depending on the matchup. They might get swept in the first round, depending on the matchup. But they could still make the playoffs, bro. Look at the.
I'm just saying, a lot of people consider him one of the best that season, one of the best offensive seasons ever, and the Warriors were first in offense. I just think it's a whole different outlook.
And 100%, I'm telling you guys, I agree, but it's not crazy to say that the Warriors can still make the playoffs.
Based on their defense?
Okay. Let me say
there's plenty.
Let me say this because Saney has a point when the fact that they could be a playoff team. Because looking back at that team,
there's no competition at all.
There isn't. Right.
That's my point.
But looking back on that team, that was strength in numbers and all that thing.
Sure, and if you want to take them, fine. Then they become a 5th seed. Then they drop to a 5th seed. I said 4 seed. My bad. I dropped 1 seed. My bad. My take was so crazy that I had to drop 1 seed.
That a 4. Did you look at the standings beforehand? Because a 4 seed nowadays.
No, I didn't, and I didn't, and I addressed that. I said my mistake. I forgot the Clippers existed because I completely forgot that the Lob City Clippers were even a thing, because they didn't do anything in the playoffs. And I forgot they existed. And I went back and looked at the standings. And when I saw that when you take the Warriors out, a 4th seed becomes the Trailblazers, who are 44 and 38. And right under them were a Mavericks team who barely broke even, barely, with a 37-year-old Derek. That's not a crazy statement to make. Is it a hot take? Sure. But it's not crazy. You guys can't call it blasphemous, create whatever terms you use, because it's not. It isn't.
I think that we should move on to the next topic.
At the end of the day, I will take 18 Durant over 16 Curry.
I'm taking 2016 Steph, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm probably leaning Steph. It's close.
It's close because KD's a demigod.
I wonder if this will lead into another topic. This next what are the odds question. We're gonna end it on this one unless we'll do the Q&A if we have time. What are the odds that Luka Doncic is peaking as a better offensive player than Kobe Bryant?
Like a 6. I'm not gonna knock Luka. Like, he's obviously a great offensive threat, but I think Kobe is like on a.
We'll do this the same way we did it last time. Explain to me in concrete terms why. My
issue with Luka is, while I know his team is trash, and a lot of people say he should trust his teammates more, I've watched the Mavericks be trusted, and they shouldn't be trusted. So I understand his point of view when he's like trying to be that guy, and a lot of instances it's worked, like Game 7, 2022 against the Suns, or even that whole playoff run. But I've seen him not only miss, like if you want to miss a game winner, fine. I've seen him pull up from half when there's 3 seconds left on the clock, and he could have made something out of that play. Tim Hardaway wide open, some random ass instances where he's just like doing like the shot selection is terrible. I think in a clutch situation, I would take. You said offensive, right? In a clutch situation, I would take Kobe Bryant. In the mid-range, I would take Kobe Bryant as a three-point shooter. There's an argument because I know Kobe wasn't as efficient from 3, but I think in terms of getting off a harder shot and putting the ball in the basket, Kobe Bryant definitely faced harder defenses because back then it was just him and the Lakers. Now I understand Luka's by himself, but the league is much more talented. You got to look out. They have a lot of 3-and-D guys like Reggie Bullock, Tim Hardaway, like a bunch of guys that could just randomly pop a shot if they're wide open. Kobe didn't have that. Kobe's out here chucking up shots with 3 guys defending him, and he's still putting the ball in the basket. That's the craziest part. I also look at, if we're talking offensive, there's so many stretches in Kobe Bryant's career where he'll literally go like 5-6 games scoring 40 points, or even crazier, that one stretch he had in 2006. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about. He averaged like 50 something. It was ridiculous. So if we're going to talk about an offensive player, I will take Kobe Bryant. Now, the reason I rated a 6 is because I think Luka Doncic as an offensive threat is so talented. I think if you had better pieces around Luka, his stats would only look better, because I think that, especially in clutch situations, teams are learning that it's just Luka and nobody else. They don't need to, like, you might see a Spencer Dinwiddie 3 every now and then, but other than that, his team doesn't really come through. So it's a lot easier to guard Luka in situations, and Luka I think hasn't matured enough in terms of taking the right shot and having the right shot selection in those moments. Again, he's had a lot of iffy moments where he's chucked up shots that I don't think that should have even been considered. when going into that situation, which is why I'm going to take Kobe Bryant, because we haven't seen Luka peak out offensively yet. Obviously, Kobe at the beginning of his career, he's taken a lot of dumb shots. He's done a lot of things, but that comes over time. That's the maturity of the game. You learn as you go. So if I'm taking peak Kobe Bryant offensively, he's in a different role than Luka Doncic. But I give Luka a 6 because I will address that Luka is obviously very gifted. I'm just always going to take Kobe.
I'm gonna go 5 on this because I feel like I'm leaning both ways because, like Sandy said, I don't want to disrespect Luka. We know what he brings to the table. I'm really glad that Sandy made that point about Luka's late clock shot selection, because honestly, now that I think about it, the majority of Luka's clutch shots that he's hit have been like tough shots. If they're not tough shots, if he missed said shots, we would be like, why the hell did you
But here's the thing, he's missed so many of those
from...
shots and the media doesn't talk about it. That's the worst part. He misses a lot of those.
Yeah,
he misses a lot of those, and nobody wants to say anything because he's not hated in the media yet.
Could you say the same thing about Kobe?
But I'm talking peak offensively.
Same thing about Kobe,
that's why I said, like, if we're comparing years, there's a difference, but we're talking peak offensive Kobe. That's what question, peak to peak.
If we're going peak offensive Kobe, where I'm assuming we're talking 2006,
yeah, like around there,
when he's averaging 36 a game. Like, if we're talking about that Kobe, and even if we wanted to go into MVP Kobe, 2008, and the 3 years that he went to the final straight, right? We can even point to those. My thing is, when it comes to tough shot makers, Kobe is the best of all time, in my opinion. Like Sandy said, we could see him shoot over 3 people behind the damn backboard, a freaking running fadeaway over Dwayne Wade that banks in, that shot that he hit over Portland's defender twice in a row, who was the best defender in the league, and dubbed the Kobe stopper. All those things like that are running through my brain right now. However, another thing too is, for Luka Doncic, right? People, and to Sandy's point, when people were talking about how Luka should get his teammates involved more, what I've realized in the past few weeks of watching Luka Doncic be number 2 and number 1 in the MVP ladder rankings is a lot of people are starting to compare him to 2018 Harden, or even just Houston Harden in general, right? Why are they doing that? I was thinking that to myself, but I started to watch last few Mavs games, and I noticed that I can see the similarities where you have Luka essentially being the focal point of the offense, dribbling the ball 5, 10, 12 times before he decides to go and make a move, right? So I told my friends this the other day. I was like, James Harden wishes right now that he could have been praised the same way that Luka's getting praised right now with the team that he has. Right? You feel me? And then Luka wishes that he had the team around him that James Harden did in all of those Houston years, because you can point to like 3 years where Harden had a lot of good guys around him. We've talked about him. He's had guys like Chris Paul, Eric Gordon, Dwight Howard, Trevor Ariza, all those things like that, right?
It's a ring.
Yeah. I love that.
You give Luka what Harden had, Luka's gonna be fine. But you give Harden what Luka's got, Harden's gonna get ridiculed even more than he got back then. And back then, I remember people were like, "Oh, Harden's a ball hog. He's doing this, he's doing that."
Harden, man.
People are giving Luka that narrative right now. Honestly, why?
Luka doesn't. I don't think like I do like the comparisons with Harden and Luka. Luka is not getting a fraction of what Harden got back then in terms of the media.
Nothing. He is getting praised for all of his.
It's ridiculous what Harden had to do to finally add an MVP trophy to his cabinet. Obviously, I think Westbrook should have gone in 2017. That's not even a biased standpoint. But I think a lot of people knocked Harden because he's a free throw merchant and blah, blah, blah. He can't do this and that. Bro, you give Harden the ball, I would put my money on it that there's 2 points going on this, or 2 or 3 points going on the scoreboard. Like, that's the type of guy Harden was.
Yeah.
And I think the media hated him, and I really love that saying where Luka wishes what Harden had around him. Because, like I said, if Luka had better teammates around him and he was doing this shit, excuse my language, then I'd be like, okay, you need to trust your teammates more. I understand why he doesn't trust his teammates. They have made some iffy decisions, especially as of late. Like during clutch situations. I think we all saw that play. I think it was with the Raptors where they just all started like falling to the ground in a game winner situation, and Luka's literally sitting there like doing this, like waving his arms up. But I also think that Luka is also to blame a lot in clutch situations because his shot selection. Now, if you have a good shot or even a tough shot, but it's within range, and we've seen you hit it before, then go for it by all means. But just because you had that step back jumper in the bubble where you hit it from super deep, or you've had all these crazy game winners, doesn't mean you attempt them every time. Bro, I literally saw him pull up from closer to half than it was to the 3-point line when there was time left on the clock, and Tim Hardaway is sitting there doing this with his hands wide open, not a soul on him. And Luka's facing his direction. And Luka misses. Of course he missed. That was not going in. It was against the Nuggets. So if you want to look back, excuse me, on Mavericks-Nuggets games, you can go check it out yourself. Which is why I'm going to take Kobe. I think Luka still has a lot of maturity that he can apply to his offensive game. And when that comes, it's going to get scary.
See, the thing is, Luka's already a killer. Like, we know this. We know how bad he wants these game winners, these wins. We know, right? Kobe was a killer when he walked into the league. Kobe went through a lot of transitions, I feel like, in 20 years. From being a kid you could see he's got that killer mentality in him, and then he becomes, you see the shades of Mamba forming, then you get the Stone Cold Killer, and then you get Mamba mentality. Luka's already at like level maybe 3. If there's 5 levels, Luka's like at 3. So as time goes on, if front office moves are made and things like that, then those wins are going to start. Those numbers are going to look even more nice when you add some wins into it. You add some deep playoff runs into them. You add some hardware to them, even. I think I'm going to take Kobe because Kobe had to get to a point where we had to look at him like, yeah, if anybody in the league is taking a final shot, fate of the league on the line, they're going to give it to Kobe in that era, right? Luka, if anybody's going to take a shot, Luka's going to take the shot, like in the clutch, like 3 people on him at half court, a one-legged fatal, like a one-legged runner, things like that. Luka's just trying out a lot of things. But I feel like if we give Luka something to at least get the Mavs at a consistent 4 or 5 seed, I would take a Mavs team that's a 4 or 5 seed in the playoffs and expect them to at least make it to the conference finals because Luka's going to have some help. Now, if that help shows up in the playoffs, some people are risers, some people aren't. But if Luka has a team that's good enough to get him to the 4 or 5 seed in the Western Conference, I'm confident taking a Maverick team led by Luka in a 7-game series over a lot of teams in the West because Luka's just going to have that protection. But in this sense, I'm taking Kobe.
When I wrote this question up, I assumed it was going to be a scoring versus passing debate, but it turned up being a clutch scoring versus clutch scoring debate. The one thing that I think just was a huge gaping hole in the discussion was how he gets his teammates involved, Luka. And while Kobe is definitely an underrated passer, simply because he's viewed as this I take all shots, and the highlights are him like with 3 defenders dangle all on him.
Most assists for a guard.
Yeah.
Or shooting guard, sorry.
But I'm just looking at the Mavericks right now this year. They have the 7th best offensive rating in the league, and you think of teams that are so loaded offensively, like compare that to the 2016 teams we just went over. Like a 30-however-year-old Dirk was a 6 seed or something like that. Now you got guys with like DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine that are not even in the playoffs. I just think in terms of how good the offense is, for Luka to be that high with the lack of help he has is super impressive. And it's different eras you're comparing. 6. Yeah, that's why you gave him a 6. But I didn't know that you were taking passing into account. I just thought you guys were talking because all you talked about was clutch scoring.
I understand that if you want to bring in, I don't think Luka's like playmaking ability and his passing is enough for me to edge him over a peak offensive.
Do you think?
Kobe Bryant.
So let's say this. Right. It's like a random Tuesday. Both guys are in their prime. They're in the same league. Let's just say there's no stakes. Like no stakes on the game. It's just like who are you taking to run the better offense?
But you said who's a better player offensively.
Yeah. So who's the better offensive player?
Oh, I'll take Kobe. Especially in a game that's just like a chill game. Kobe. Oh my God, Kobe will drop like 70.
If it's Kobe pulled up to the Pro-Am games and lit them boys up, like bro, you put Kobe in Rutgers Park, he's going stupid.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Kobe was not only. I think Kobe is one of those rare instances where he can both be a floor raiser and a ceiling raiser.
Yeah.
I think Kobe
that's a good way to put it. That's a really good way to put it.
He can both be a ceiling raiser with Shaquille O'Neal and that Lakers team, and also a floor raiser with the 09-10 Lakers. He's proven that he can win, not only do it, but win at both. With
offensively, then I have to look up what their record was. I believe it was 2007 when or 2006 when people thought Kobe got robbed of the MVP. In terms of an offensive floor raiser, would you give that to Luka? I think you'd have to. I think in terms of an offensive
floor raiser, I think you would. I think you would because.
So then, how do you value that in? Because I'm just looking at what Luka's doing.
It's tough. It's tough because I'm looking at it.
Kobe was 35 a game this year. Not comparing their rosters because once again we said before how the spacing was just different. But that year Kobe was 35 a game and they had the 8th offensive rating. It's like just very similar. So
I think I'm taking Kobe.
I was literally about to look that up. I'm taking Kobe there right there.
I think the fact, as much as I love Luka's playmaking, as in terms of offensive, when you look at that aspect of it, you also have to trust in your teammates as well that they'll make that shot. And a pass doesn't mean anything if the ball doesn't go in the basket. Kobe Bryant's the kind of guy that like you'll put the ball in the basket.
Kobe's gonna be like, if I pass this to you one time and you miss this,
Luka, of course,
get the rebound.
Luka does a better job at getting his teammates involved. I gave him a 6, and giving him a 6 when comparing him to Kobe Bryant is a very high rating. Like that's me telling you, like I'm not gonna call you crazy for even mentioning those two in the same name. They 100% Luka's doing stuff that, it's beautiful to see. But the thing with playmaking, if we're talking about, like you said, Hoop, you want to take a random player and you want him offensively. Like you want to take a player in terms of offensive game. I have to trust the teammates on top of trusting Luka. I have to trust that Luka will make the right pass and the teammate will hit the shot. With Kobe Bryant, I don't have to trust anybody but Kobe Bryant. And I can trust Kobe Bryant.
Do you feel the same way about LeBron and MJ? Like, for example, that one game where it was in the bubble. I don't know if it was the finals versus the Western Conference Finals. LeBron... seconds winding down. He has like 3 dudes on him driving to the paint.
Yeah, and he
kicks out
it
to
to
a wide open Danny Green, and Danny Green broke the shot. How do you feel about that?
Here's the thing. I don't knock LeBron for passing the ball. I know a lot of people are like, Jordan would have shot that. Kobe would have shot that. LeBron passed it because it was a better decision, but it didn't work out. In that situation, I would take Jordan. I would take Jordan or Kobe because they would have went for it. But the difference is here, I'm not knocking LeBron for making that decision. Because
there's a lot of highlights, well, not highlights, but highlights that aren't highlights because they missed a shot. Like with how many game winners they hit, there's plenty that they missed. But it looks like a way worse miss.
Your question was offensively, would I take Luka or Kobe?
And you just said
that
a talking point was that I know Kobe's going to take the shot because when you're talking about offense and playmaking, you have to trust the teammates, and that could play a factor into their offense. If LeBron James is looking to take that shot, what are the odds of it going in?
Jordan is a much better, or no, I'm not going to say much better, but he's a better offensive player than LeBron James. Jordan's a better offensive player than LeBron James.
I would say it's not. It's by a little bit
who do you think
because of the scoring. But
this is a question that I still can't give you. No, but I think offensively Jordan is better. I think defensively I'd rather LeBron.
Right.
But offensively I'd take Jordan. In terms of winning basketball, if you were to ask me to take a player, I'm not gonna lie, I'm taking Jordan. Like, if I'm being honest.
I'm sorry.
You can't argue. I hate to be that guy. You can't argue 6-0.
The reason I brought that up because I thought you always said LeBron.
I think 2018 LeBron is the greatest player of all time. I think 2018 as a player, LeBron James, 2018, because not only is he a great playmaker, he's also one of the most offensively gifted players I've ever seen in that year. But if we're talking as a whole, are we talking peak to peak, or are we talking as players right now with the GOAT conversation? Because peak LeBron is the greatest player we've ever seen of all time.
I'm just trying to see where you stand.
It's the fact that Jordan was able to do it with the longevity of winning consistently, leaving
I don't want to
get
into
a GOAT again.
I don't want to get into it. Yeah. I just wanted to.
You don't please, though. I ain't gotten to go debate in 2 years.
Let's say a player has a tough contested shot for the win. The odds of it going in, let's say 40%, because it's a great play. Let's say it's 40%. If Danny Green or said shooter has a 5 or 6% chance higher of hitting the shot when they're open, do you like to see the guy go for it? Do you like to see him kick it out for the better? Like, do you play the numbers, or do you play what the better basketball players or what the killer mentality is?
I like that question. And in this situation, I would kick it out to Danny Green. But here's the difference, because that's a hypothetical situation where you're pulling out chances and stuff. In terms of Luka, I've seen Luka chuck up shots that he cannot make like that on a daily basis.
No, but you're saying that
I would rather,
when you're talking about Luka's playmaking, in terms of his playmaking. You brought that up as a playmaking thing. You have to look at their teammates in terms of playmaking.
But it depends on the player. Like, obviously, I would take a guy like Chris Paul offensively over a guy like, I don't know, Derrick Rose, just off the top of my head, or somebody who's a better scorer than Chris Paul, but Chris Paul is so much better playmaking wise and so much gifted at getting his teammates the ball like that I'll take Chris Paul. But in terms of Kobe, this is I'm using this point for the specific example of peak Kobe versus Luka, because Luka's playmaking ability isn't enough to edge or put him in the same category as Kobe Bryant peak offensively for me. It's not.
This is a
specific. That point I made is what I've realized. These two guys. It could go either way.
Right. When you have guys who, and I'm just gonna say this one last thing. When you have guys who are elite guys, we just finished talking about James Harden, and I love that we did, because back then with James Harden and the amount of slander that he got playing at the best level that he's played his entire career. Another thing that we would say when discussing 2018, 17, and 19 James Harden in Houston is that we brought up his playmaking, did we not? We used to always bring up how great of a playmaker he was because James Harden was the guy with the highest usage rate, the guy that was orchestrating the flow of the offense until Chris Paul got there. But we used to literally have to try and bring light to his playmaking ability and his scoring ability, whilst also shedding light on his decision making at times and foul baiting and things like that. So when you have a guy like a James Harden who was averaging 36 a game in 2019, that playmaking stuff only goes so far when you keep losing games until you get the big one, right? Kobe had a knock on him for 3-4 years up until the point where he finally made it back to the finals against Boston. And it wasn't until he won, at least that first championship against Orlando, where you saw the arguments, the negativity going away, because it finally was all worth something. Kobe got 2 back-to-back championships and 2 back-to-back finals MVPs, leading a team, something that they said he couldn't do, right?
Against the first big three in history.
And Kobe, right, leading a team against the first and going up against them twice and getting it done in Game 7 of the second time. But the thing is that Kobe's playmaking was never something that was extremely highlighted in his career. But his offense and his defense, the fact that he was arguably the best two-way player in the game back then, that spoke volumes for him. So in a lot of ways, there's a lot of comparisons that we can make with guys like Luka and Kobe, where Luka, we all know, is the better playmaker. But if that isn't amounting to anything, if it's amounting to his team barely scraping into the playoffs and just trying to see go as far as Luka can physically possibly take them, there's going to be a point where I'm just going to be like, that playmaking is not going to cut it for me anymore, buddy. Like, that's just what it is. Even with James Harden right now, right? Like, we all know James Harden's one of the, like, a top 5 scorer all time, right? But right now, we can't look at James Harden in that light because he isn't producing at that level. Like, he's just not the same
Harden
that we once saw.
What did you say about the playmaking not cutting it anymore? Can you repeat that? I missed it.
So when we look at certain guys like Luka, since Luka's walked into the league, one of the biggest things that we've highlighted is how great of an offensive player he is, scoring the ball and his playmaking, right? But when that playmaking and scoring is not amounting to a lot of success, which we've started to see more and more of that ever since the bubble, honestly, is where it really started when he hit that shot. Since then, the narratives and things like that every season that come along is, we want Luka to win MVP, yeah, but he doesn't have any help. Well, if his playmaking is so great, then how does he not have any help? Things like that.
Wait, do you agree with that?
No.
No. I'm not saying I agree with you. I'm just saying that it's so easy to refute that narrative, right? Of looking at playmaking. Like we look at playmaking as something that is an elite thing for people to do. Tyrese Halliburton's doing it. He just brought up Chris Paul. Steph Curry's playmaking is underrated to a lot of people. LeBron's playmaking, things like that. But I'm saying when you look at Luka every single year for the past 3 years going into the season, he's been an MVP favorite. But the argument always goes, okay, well, Luka doesn't have any help. Is he going to have help this year? His playmaking is still something that we can compliment him on.
Support your argument? Like, are you just saying it? Because I'm trying to figure out what you're trying to use it for.
I'm a little confused.
No. I'm just saying it. I'm playing off of what y'all were just talking about. Just playmaking in general. I'm just like a side note. I'm not adding on to anything. I think
we should move on. We're like well over that.
I just want to say one last thing. So if Kobe Bryant, his defense was taken away, you take Luka.
But you said offensive.
Yeah. You take Kobe's defense away. You take Luka's whatever remaining defense he has away, and you put them in the same league. You think Kobe's the better offensive player?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's move on.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I agree or disagree. I just wanted to pick at that. It'll be interesting to see when Luka has help, see what he looks like.
That's what I'm saying. We're comparing a Kobe Bryant to a Luka who we haven't seen mature fully yet. So.
Right. Hopefully he'll be better, but we don't know.
So that'll take us to our last segment.
Last segment, ladies and gentlemen, that we have for you today is the Q&A. Today we have 3 questions. By the way, this is presented by Chalkboard. Love you guys. Today we have 3 questions, starting with the first one. This is going to be just for play, but Connors 19, our guy, asks, in a one-on-one situation, are you guys taking a 50-year-old Michael Jordan or prime Brian Scalabrine, one-on-one? 50-year-old MJ or prime Brian Scalabrine?
Brian Scalabrine. Bro, at 50 years old, especially all the stuff Michael Jordan has done with all the cigars and the unhealthy come up he's had. We're not talking about LeBron James. We're talking about a guy who's actually taking care of his body. We're talking about Michael Jordan. At 50 years old, that guy got a beer belly with bad hips. You're telling me you're not taking a prime Brian Scalabrine? Bro, it's an NBA player we're talking about.
I'm thinking,
Michael Jordan at 50 years old.
50-year-old MJ.
Michael Jordan at 50 years old, obviously still great, but we're talking about a prime NBA player. Like, that's a little.
A one-on-one is not.
He averaged 6 a game.
Full up and down the court. No,
still,
I don't care about what he
averaged. You got to keep up. Scalabrine needs one stop. Like Jordan's not gonna have a quick first step like always because Jordan's not gonna be able to guard him. His hips are not good enough. You literally need to get around him.
To beat MJ.
50 years old, bro.
Oh my gosh,
bro. You guys, come on, bro.
He's
much slower.
Go ahead.
He's much slower. He got bad hips now. He's got to have bad hips by now, bro. He doesn't care. He just golfs all day. He's not staying in shape anymore, bro. We're talking about a guy who's 20 years after he's retired doing nothing but chilling, and I respect him for it because he's had such a great career. You should chill and enjoy the rest of your life. But we're talking about a prime Brian Scalabrine who still made the NBA. Was he great? No. But he still made.
I'm not
the
trying
NBA,
to
so he
disrespect
still has that.
Brian Scalabrine. I'm just
so
saying.
he still has that.
MJ
so he still has that in him.
Step.
No, bro, he's gonna be too slow on it, bro. That jab isn't gonna be as lethal because MJ,
Hall
of Fame, quick first step. Hall of Fame, quick first step. Jab, you're out of that. MJ don't got the hips for that anymore, bro. Let's be honest. He got a beer belly now, bro.
Were to be pulled off the street after however many years he was removed from the league and told to play a basketball game, sure, Brian Scalabrine is probably the favorite to win. But if you give MJ, a 50-year-old MJ, a week.
That wasn't the question.
Not necessarily prep time. No, but I'm assuming they know about the game. If MJ knows about the game, he's going to do stuff.
It's about in a one-on-one situation. You take MJ how he is at 50 years old. We're not talking about MJ with training.
No, it's not MJ with training. It's knowing he's going to play a basketball game within 3 days.
I don't want
Michael
Jordan at 50 years old. You're taking how he is at 50 years old.
I'm not saying he's going to be on the beach lifting weights and running laps. I'm saying he needs to get shots up before he plays. I'm not saying you pick him up the street.
It's not about the shooting, though, bro. It's not about the shooting.
I think it genuinely is.
No, like Brian Scalabrine will be able to keep up with him offensively because he's not gonna have a quick first step. He's not gonna be able to space create like he did when he was even on the Wizards, bro. Like when you get old, I think you're overrating. I think you're obviously he's generational, but bro, we're not talking about LeBron. If it was LeBron, different story because I know LeBron takes care of his body. It is so well documented how little Michael Jordan takes care of himself.
50-year-old. It's not an average.
This is a guy for 20 years eating like that, smoking cigars every day. That guy's stamina is probably so trash that he needs at least a few months of conditioning.
How old is he right now?
How old is MJ? I'm gonna look it up right now. MJ is 59
9 years ago, I'm taking MJ.
So this will be 9 years
ago, I'm taking MJ.
I'm taking MJ. I'm taking MJ only because of what he did to OJ Mayo. He literally told OJ Mayo, "You may be the best high schooler in the country, but I'm still the GOAT," and proceeded to kick his ass. So I'm taking MJ. I'm taking MJ over Brian Scalabrine. But Brian might be like in his post game. I'm very interested to see.
Brian was tough. Like he's an NBA player. Like Brian
was white mom. He's cooked kids before too.
But
I don't know, man. I don't think he's in terms of an NBA, a prime Scalabrine. We're talking about an NBA player who's like well within his career that is obviously up to the task. I'm not saying Scalabrine is the best, but bro, like we're talking about a guy with bad hips. He's not quick off the first step. He's gonna be so slow, bro. Like let's be real.
Brian Scalabrine was.
Have you seen a video of Michael Jordan dunking? He can barely jump. He has to rim gaze, bro. It's like the most rim gazing dunk I've ever seen.
You're saying he's 59 and still rim grazing? I'm taking MJ. If you just said that, I'm taking MJ.
Because he's 6'7" with like a 7-foot wingspan. If you can't jump like 20 inches,
it's a one-on-one. I'm not expecting him to drive by and dunk. I'm just looking for him to one dribble pull up. That's MJ.
Still, he needs one. That's what I'm saying. He needs one miss. Brian gets the ball back. He drives on him every play. Driving on him every play, bro. He's 50 years old. He doesn't have the speed and the.
This is
and
not
the,
John
the
Wall.
hips.
This is Brian Scalabrine.
Bro, yes. But we're still talking about a old man. I respect Jordan so much. Obviously, my GOAT.
A 50-year-old former basketball player. Regardless
Against
of
a
how
prime
good,
NBA player.
Regardless of how good they
50
were.
years old, Jordan
As an
dropped me off
athlete,
11-0. 50 years old, he dropped me off 11-0. But we're talking about a prime NBA player. That's where you guys are I think you're not thinking about. We're talking about a prime NBA player who's like 6'10".
I'm also taking into account, he's talking about prime Brian Scalabrine. So him saying prime is like me saying prime Patrick Beverly. What is prime? What is prime Brian Scalabrine?
Because he doesn't show up in a game doesn't mean he's not skillful, bro. He's still Brian Scalabrine.
I know.
On this
I agree.
Unless we're talking about NBA players.
I agree.
You can't disrespect the guy just because he's
I'm not disrespecting him. I'm saying Michael Jordan is not as old as you think he is. If
Michael Jordan takes it personal, Michael Jordan literally asked Magic Johnson to literally put his shoes on at the freaking All-Star game last year. He said, "Put your shoes on to see me on the court." So I don't know.
Another
I feel like
60-year-old.
MJ still got a lot to get.
Another 60-year-old to play basketball with him. What?
That was a bad point.
Okay, it was a bad point. However, we're also taking into account that it's prime Scalabrine versus
110%. Jordan will drop me off. He can be on his deathbed and he'll still beat me 11-0.
So Michael Jordan at 50 years old or prime Steve Novak?
Steve Novak! You give Steve Novak the ball once, he's popping it from anywhere he's standing, bro. He's still an NBA player. You guys have to understand, when you're not in an arena with 20,000 people watching you and all that noise and all those lights, if you're just in a straight-alone gym, why do you think TJ Warren was dropping 50 in the bubble? Huh? Why do you think guys were randomly popping off in the bubble, shooting from anywhere they wanted? Jamal Murray averaged 50 points in a playoff series. If you are a prime NBA player, if you are a prime NBA player sitting in an open gym, I don't think you'll be able to count on your hand how many shots they missed. I don't think you can. We're talking about prime NBA players. We're talking about the smallest percentile of the world of people that play basketball.
You're also talking about Michael Jordan. That's the one thing I think
you're missing.
At
50 years old. At 50 years old.
I'm saying if he,
I don't think Jordan's body. I don't think Jordan's body at 50 years old could keep up with a prime Scalabrine. That's all.
For how? What are we playing to 11? For 11 points. You could do that.
I'm taking MJ. Bro. MJ used to play people at once just for fun, bro.
Absolutely.
Right. I'm taking Brian Scalabrine.
Absolutely. But in the half
court, I'm just saying, if it's one-on-one half court, bro,
I'm taking MJ. Move on.
Brian Scalabrine got one time to score, and I just think MJ going.
He's an NBA player. He's a prime NBA player compared to an older player. 50 years old.
Okay, all right. This is the next question. This should be simple because I'm giving you a list of names too.
Yeah. Okay. So a decade after he played basketball, you think he was playing basketball when he retired, bro?
You think he went straight to pizza right the second after he retired?
No, but we're talking about a decade of not playing at that level compared to a player who was on a nightly basis playing at that high level of intensity. There's a difference, guys. When you're running full court 82 times a season in an NBA,
we're not
as an
talking
NBA player,
about running.
going to
we're
practice
talking
every
about
day,
basketball
going to practice every day, staying conditioned. Even then, if it's half-court setting, you're talking about a guy who's every single day matched up against 11 other NBA players in a practice facility, which is where him and Jordan would be playing, right? And an empty court. You're talking about a guy who's time and time again in his prime has had multiple years of this experience compared to a guy who's 50 years old, who's obviously his body is worn down. You cannot tell me that Jordan was even 1/4 of the player he was at 50 compared to when he retired.
The fadeaways were still hidden.
But I'm saying when you have a prime NBA on me, he's beating me 11-0 like this.
Eddie
but
Curry
Scalabrine's going to be able to guard that.
Versus Michael Jordan.
Did you say prime Eddie Curry? Come on,
versus
man.
What Michael Jordan?
We're moving on.
Versus 50-year-old Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan.
Prime Eddie Curry.
Eddie Curry? I thought you said Stephen Curry. I was like, what?
No, Eddie Curry.
I don't know much about Eddie Curry, I'll be honest. I know he played for the Knicks, number 30, that's about it.
I'm just saying, like, I think it's skill set can be taken into account when going one-on-one. It's not straight conditioning.
We're talking about a decade.
Okay, we'll leave this up to the viewers. All right? All right, now, this is going to be the final question because we're running low. We're literally running low on time. I'm going to ask you this question, and it comes from G-Money24. I'm going to give you a list of NBA players that were born in California, and you are going to tell me if this list of players would be good enough to win a gold medal for the U.S. if they had the opportunity. These players start off with Sandy's number one guy, Russell Westbrook, Kevin Love, Jared Allen, DeMar DeRozan, Kawhi Leonard, LaMelo, and Lonzo Ball. Jesus. Paul George, Aaron Gordon, Jalen Green.
You said
James
Lonzo
Harden,
before
Drew
Paul
Holiday.
George?
Yeah, I thought you were gonna read these off.
This is how I'm reading it off.
I was gonna say.
Can y'all calm
listen,
down?
I thought you
Damn,
decided.
y'all thought I was really gonna do
decided
that.
to Lonzo first.
Would they win an NBA championship? How about that?
Yes, they win anything. They win anything.
Okay.
Read that
All
off
right,
again.
bet.
Like, give me the big names first.
I'll read you the
Give me
first
the big
five.
names
The first five. Russell Westbrook. Okay, I'll give you the big names. Russell Westbrook, Kawhi Leonard, DeMar DeRozan, Paul George, James Harden, Damian Lillard, Jared Allen. Yeah.
Yeah. That's an insane team. They win.
I was
anything.
at first trying to think of like, oh, maybe they don't match up chemistry-wise. There's too many fours, and you said Dame, and I was like, oh my god.
Yeah. Lonzo,
Dame and Russell Westbrook on the same
LaMelo
team.
are
That'd
your
be crazy.
bench. Like
imagine.
I don't think
Russell Westbrook
Lonzo
at
makes
point
that
and
roster,
Dame
though.
at your
If
two.
he was healthy, it would be nice on defense, but.
All right, well, that was a great episode, guys.
So you think LaMelo's gonna make it?
I gotta shower. I'm feeling under the weather, by the way. This was another Saney flu game episode. I think this is like our eighth episode where I've had to record sick.
Gotta be.
But thank you for tuning in for episode 33. We are 1/3 on the way to episode 100. Crazy to think about.
Indeed.
Any last words, Hoop?
Yeah, and I think I'm taking MJ over Brian.
And I'm taking 2018 Kevin Durant. Have a great day.